So, what day is it today?
Tuesday?
Wrong. It's NWA Day.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
I was thinking that it might be a good idea if you and I formed an alliance.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Attention, everyone. Welcome to the greatest wrestling program in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
Okay, let's party.
It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
Why are you excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
Yeah. No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth. Is it true that your dad has a ringside seat but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah,
See, he's awesome! Yeah! Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah!
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive Papa Danny Limelight, the United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Papa.
Well, if I did things the correct way, it wouldn't be the pre-party. This is the pre-party. I am J. Cal. And each and every Tuesday, almost, we come to you, that hashtag NWA fam. And what are we here for? Is it because I'm good looking? Maybe. Is it because my voice is very ASMR-like and you're falling asleep? Maybe. Or is it because we're talking NWA right here, right now, live, right before Power airs on exclusively on X? I like to think it's all of the above. And I see a lot of my good friends here in the chat, and I see some new ones. Troy, welcome to the show, buddy. I think Troy jumped over from TikTok. Welcome to the pre-party. Grab yourself a nice cold one. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Willie Bowen with this new year, new Tyrus joke of the year. Hey, J. Cal, Tyrus is going to be in a pay-per-view event. Tyrus versus Jenny Craig. That's a losing, you know who loses that battle? The fans that are watching. Double D Devin Dowling in the house. Her dad stinks. Yeah. And then Iron Shrek is here. My guy Shrek. Also, you know, I poached Shrek from TikTok. Shrek is my guy now. We're buddies. It's because you're Kevin Owens. Yeah. Because I look like a Kevin Owens. Yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. We were watching Raw last night because the first time I've been able to watch a live Raw in about maybe 8 years since we've cut the cord. So we were watching Netflix, and of course, when Kevin Owens came out to attack Roman Reigns, my wife looked over at him, looked over at me, and said, yeah, if your beard was just a little bit longer, you'd look just like him. Thanks, honey. Noob is in the house. What is up, Noob? Oh, geez. Chris Drummond, can we nip this in the bud, first of all? Because just because a show is going to, man, I can't even talk. You guys, help me out here. Carneyland was a show that Billy Corgan produced that gives an inside look at his life, being the music mogul, music creator that he is, of course, with Smashing Pumpkins and his own solo projects. He's also the owner and purveyor of Madame Zuzu's teeing. Sorry, my wife was distracting me with her good looks and charm. Madame Zuzu's Tea House. And also, he's the owner of the National Wrestling Alliance. Now, the NWA does play a big part of what Billy Corgan does. I mean, like, he spends a couple times, well, more than a couple times, but monthly he does TV tapings, and I'm sure behind the scenes a lot of his life is dedicated to that. So the whole point of this Carneyland show was to kind of give a glimpse into Billy Corgan's life. It was a way to open up the door for Billy Corgan to potentially bring his brand to a network television deal. Now, initially it was released on CW, but only on the app. And then it went to Amazon. And I don't think it ever made it to Netflix, but now it's on Peacock. And they just announced it recently. And, look, I don't know that Billy Corgan is must-see TV for everybody. I don't know that he appeals to a wide spectrum that he thinks he does. And if this does open a door for the NWA to come to Peacock, especially when Peacock's deal with the WWE Network comes to conclusion, I think that's great. However, let's not forget that Universal, the parent company of Peacock, the parent company of NBC, the parent company of USA, still has a deal with the WWE where they show SmackDown on USA Friday nights. And Peacock, until something changes, is still the purveyor of the premium live events, not prime. So I don't see that happening, guys. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, if it does, would I be happy to see that? Yeah, I want the NWA to succeed, guys. That's the thing. I want the NWA to make money. I want all the wrestlers to get paid. I want them all to become household names and make stupid B movies so that they get their SAG cards and they have free health insurance. Like, I want all that for the NWA. But let's be realistic. Peacock has a deal with the WWE. Universal has a deal with the WWE. They are not going to violate that deal to bring in the NWA. And let's be honest, is the NWA product up to the standards of Universal? I mean, they've had WWE programming for the last 30 years. Does that make sense to anybody? I mean, look, again, if the door is open and the NWA could slide in, I'd be happy for them, but they're for free on X right now. They're getting about 60,000, 100,000 views. Anybody that wants them on the network are going to be expecting millions of views. That's just not in the cards for the NWA. That's not where they're at right now. Willie says, Raw stands for really awful wrestling. I get it, Willie. I know you're not a big WWE fan. For me, it was more about seeing the experience. Again, they were in my backyard. I did not want to go to the Intuit Dome. I didn't want to drive to Los Angeles. But I thought it was cool that they did that they're on Netflix. It's a big deal. It's changing the way that people consume content. And the fact that the WWE is the first big sports company to put that big of a intellectual property on Netflix, I think it's huge. And it just is going to open up the doors for a lot of other things. I know the answer, but people act like it's more than what it is. Yeah, exactly. And look, I love the idea of somehow the little engine that could, Billy Corgan's National Wrestling Alliance, making it somewhere big. But the CW deal, whatever that was, didn't translate to what Billy had hoped. If they were paying Billy, again, the whole deal, it lasted 8 months. They tanked the international market that was watching them on YouTube so that they could go to the CW app and be exclusive. I don't know how much money that they made for that, but you alienated a huge portion of your fan base. And then when WWE announces their deal to come to CW, for whoever decided, pulled them off the app, right off the app. So that whole experiment, what did it do? How many more people started watching because it was on the CW app? Is there a quantifiable, measurable way to figure out how many eyeballs they gained in addition to what they previously had on YouTube? And what was the net cost versus the eyeballs that they had internationally watching? Just something to think about. And the YouTube channel is still active. The NWA is smart about it. They're still producing content that goes on the YouTube channel, but it's not the entire shows, which I think is smart. I think that's actually very, very smart, because if you put a single match on it and someone watches the entirety of that match, that is just as good as somebody watching the entirety of a 3-hour, 1-hour television show. And you can post more frequently, and you can actually narrow down searches to that particular wrestler, that particular talent. It's very smart, honestly. I just think they could have done that. They could have made a secondary YouTube channel for just matches and then still had power exclusively on YouTube, or just left it the way it is. Right now, my only thought is that they're trying to just throw out as wide of a net as they can, which to me means that they should be putting all of the shows on every streamable platform. You could be streaming on Facebook. You could be Meta. You could be streaming on not TikTok, but Twitch. I mean, technically you can stream on TikTok as well. You could be streaming on YouTube. You could be streaming on X, and all of these platforms. Cast out as wide a net as you can to grab as many eyeballs. That's how I would do it. But I don't own a wrestling company. I didn't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to acquire the NWA name. And if I wanted to tell the NWA what to do, I should have done that. Showgain's in the house. What is up, Showgain? Someone give Billy Corgan the TEW and WWE 2K24 for my GM. I remember when Billy Corgan played Steve Corino to the ring in ECW. Yeah, I mean, that was cool. And look, the musician Billy Corgan is a pretty fantastic musician. I mean, you got to give the guy his credit. If you hear him rip on a guitar, man, that guy is awesome. And I've seen him live now twice. Should have been 3 times, but I ditched him in Mexico to see Lucha Libre instead. And I think I made the right choice. But Billy Corgan is excellent on the guitar. My favorite song is Rhinoceros by Smashing Pumpkins. That's my favorite Billy Corgan jam. But I mean, the rest of it is, it's a matter of taste. And some people really do like Smashing Pumpkins, and some people are very indifferent. I'm somewhere in the middle, but you can't take away from that guy playing the guitar. I mean, he is amazing. You can't be tribalism. It's the year 2025. I mean, I'm saying this, man. I don't discourage anyone from watching any wrestling. Like I say, watch everything. As a fan, when I grew up, which in the 80s, I grew up with the WWE. I would watch Glow. I discovered the NWA on TBS a couple of years later, and I watched everything I could. I would go to Spanish-speaking stations to watch Lucha Libre. Like, I would watch everything. We even had the California Wrestling Alliance, which was on one of the UHF channels, and I didn't see it very often, and it was the worst drizzling shit style of wrestling, but I watched it when I could because it was wrestling. And as a young adult, I remember watching WCW, WWE, ECW, XPW, everything I could watch. We had UPW. I would watch everything, and I still think people should do that. I still think that's a smart idea. Currently we have WWE and AEW as the top wrestling companies in the country, with TNA not far behind AEW. You've got MLW, you've got the NWA, you got the United Wrestling Network. There's so much content out there. I know you can't watch it all. I can't. So find what you like and watch it and enjoy it. But if you can watch everything, go for it, man. Go for it. WWE on Netflix is making history and exposing new people, which makes new fans. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, they went for the money. They're going to stay for the extra exposure. And look, I don't think if you didn't have any interest in wrestling before last night, you didn't tune into Netflix to see what it was all about, right? Like, that didn't happen. But if you used to be a fan of wrestling and you're like, oh, now I can watch it because it's on Netflix. Yeah, I'll probably watch Raw more. Like, I'm not going to watch every episode, and I won't watch every minute of the show, but I'll watch some of it. It's easy to watch now. There needs to be more cross-promotion between companies, in my opinion. AEW heard you, man. AEW's doing it. This March, I'm jumping all over the place. February 25th, the United Wrestling Network will be returning to Irvine Improv, and they'll be featuring a card. And I don't think I have the banner loaded in the chat, which is a shame. But they'll be loaded with talent that are under WWE contracts, the WWE ID. There'll be stars from AEW, Scorpio Sky, stars from Ring of Honor, Stars from the NWA, Big Mama will be there. And this is going to be a taped event that will be on their television, finally. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about that. And TV will start rolling out in March. They're going to crown a new women's champion. And my wife is very charming and beautiful. And that's huge, man. It's big. It's bigger than what some of the other independent promotions can do. But it's kind of like you have to evolve or die. WWE doesn't need to work with anybody else, but you're starting to see them work with Pro Wrestling Noah. You're seeing them starting to sign talents out of Mexico. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see them at some point working some sort of relationship with Lucha Libre AAA. I wouldn't be shocked. Obviously, that deal has to, whatever they're doing with AEW has to change too. But I see this as all this kind of evolving. Things are gonna change. And in a promotion like the NWA, like they don't necessarily need to cross promote with anybody, but they can they have access to bring talent in. They can. Big Mama is going to be appearing in the United Wrestling Network. If tomorrow Billy Corgan wanted to use Danny Limelight, the United Wrestling Network World Champion, I mean, it's just a phone call. Dave wouldn't stop that from happening, and Danny would love to be there. Obviously, if it was the right role. WWE still sucks. I mean, that's not far off. Hey, Jay, do you think with Power being filmed in the PBS WEDU studios, will we see Power across a bunch of PBS channels? Similar in the sense of how WOW distributes their show on CBS channels. No. Tim, I don't think that's going to happen. First of all, it doesn't fit the model of public access and the whole PBS deal. I mean, maybe, but like at the end of the day, like where is the incentive? The incentive is if you're going to have a show, you got to be making money, right? Currently, as it stands, I don't know how much the NWA makes money with a television show. And I kind of think this is a means to an end to build a library, to build content, to have something to present to networks when you are ready to present to networks. I just don't think they're there yet. And who knows, maybe they never will be. Yeah, Carney land on Peacock. Hey, Nancy, thanks for joining the chat. I don't think I've seen you on before, so thanks for joining us. This is the Pre-Party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Jay Cal, and every Tuesday we talk NWA wrestling with you, the hashtag NWA fam. Now, right now we're talking about just wrestling in general, but yeah, I would never buy the NWA brand. It's been ran through the ground over the years. If it was the 80s or 70s, I would. Shrek, I'm telling you this, and maybe it's because I'm have an inflated self-ego. Maybe it's because I think I'm better than I am. But I think I could have made the NWA successful. I think I could have been a better owner than Billy Corgan, but I didn't have the money he had to spend on it, right? Like, if I had a couple $1 million, I think I could have turned the NWA around. The first thing I would have done was hire Dave Marquez to be head of my production. Billy. My favorite thing ever seen Sheiky Baby do was steal Pitbull number 2's girlfriend on the Jerry Springer show. Oh, man, we didn't get a lot of snow out here in SoCal. I mean, it hasn't rained in a while. It's been cold, but it hasn't rained. J. Cal, did you ever watch Mid-South and UWF wrestling? I watched a little bit of both, and I think we watched it on ESPN. I don't remember like regularly tuning into it. I would watch the AWA shows on ESPN Classic, and I would watch a lot of the other. I would watch whatever I could. If I found it, I would watch it. I remember watching Pro Wrestling This Week. So yeah, sorry. Did I watch Raw last night? I think I talked about it a little bit, but yeah, I saw like the first 45 minutes. I watched the tribal match. It was interesting. They did a good job of bringing in a lot of talent in to see, for the fans to see, but I really didn't continue on after that matchup. CMLL got a new Hayabusa. What are you talking about, Shrek? You gotta chat me up. Tell me what's going on with that. Send me some info on that. Roswell said, I caught some UWF back in the day. I didn't understand all the crossover stuff at the time. Yeah, I mean, UWF was working with Jim Crockett Promotions, and they were like unifying their TV champion and unifying the other titles. It was it was weird. And I remember looking at one of the after mags, I think it was Pro Wrestling Insider, where they had like One Man Gang and Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Ted DiBiase on the cover. And it was like, and Terry Taylor. And then like a couple months later, maybe even a couple years later, you see Hacksaw as like a mid-card guy in the WWE. You had Terry Taylor, who was working Enhancement. One Man Gang was there, but then they turned him into Akeem the African Dream. And and Steve Williams went over to WCW and then later Japan. So a lot of fun stuff. Yeah, Roz, what you're saying, I think a lot of people feel the same way, and that's the hard part, getting to that money, I watched. I went to CMLL when I was in Mexico, but I haven't been regularly watching it. You hope all of 6 of EC3's Exodus Pro goons appear on Power more often. Exodus Pro showcases are way better than Power right now. Yeah, I mean, look. Power has great talent. Power has not great booking. I don't love Power's booking. Like, let's be honest. The problem is Billy Corgan. He's the bane of the NWA's existence. If it wasn't for Billy Corgan, I don't know that we'd be talking about the NWA today. But if it wasn't for Billy Corgan, we wouldn't be complaining about the NWA today. I wish that he would take a hands-off approach, or bring somebody in to filter his ideas with. I mean, when Dave Lagana was there and Dave Marquez was there, we had some really good storyline, very interesting stuff. And they still did a lot of weird stuff that, casual fans would look twice at. But it was better storytelling. The talent is there. The production is there. It looks beautiful. If you watch an NWA wrestling show, especially when they're in Dothan, I mean, it looks just like you're watching a WWE program or an AEW program. It looks good. The problem is the talent does not have the right storyline to propel the stories. The wrestling's good. I mean, for the most part, they've had a few botches and stuff, but I mean, that's pretty common. It's pretty common for a part-time ran wrestling promotion. It's not, the NWA isn't full-time yet. They want to be, and maybe in 2025 they will be, but when you're running once a month or, once every 2 months, it's kind of hard to have that good ebb and flow go. The reason why I'm a fan of the NWA is to see Markova in action, because I predict that Markova will win the women's title somewhere in 25. If not, then what's the point of signing her? We've talked about that a lot, Noob, and it's just, again, Billy's storytelling. I don't know what his plans are for her. I don't know what his plans are for half the people on the roster. I wish there was more to talk about than what we see, but there isn't. Yeah, I don't know. See, I wouldn't even say Billy tries to book the NWA like a super indie. I feel like he books what he thinks is entertaining and fun and interesting. But like, I look at it, and this isn't supposed to be disrespectful to the characters, the players, Rolando, the players, Eric Smalls, but putting a little person into a match with a regular sized wrestler, I don't think that's good. I don't think that's entertaining. And when you have we're gonna see Rolando teaming with Spencer Slade tonight to take on Trevor Murdoch and Mike Knox, the NWA World Tag Team Champions, and there's a huge disparity in the size of the performers, and I don't think that is fun. Like that doesn't look like fun to me. And I'm sure people will watch it and people will click on it and people will be like, "Yeah, this is great. Look at the numbers." But like, no, it's kind of making a mockery of the sport. If you enjoy pro wrestling at a level where, yes, you understand that it isn't, it's all predetermined. You understand, like, we all take that notion that, okay, we're going to pretend like this is real because that's how we enjoy it. Just like soap operas, right? You pretend that the story is real, okay? And if the story is real, what you're seeing, you suspend your belief and allow yourself just to be entertained like you're watching a Marvel movie, right? But, like, even in the Marvel movies, like Rocket Raccoon does not beat Captain America. Not now, not ever. And when you see, Eric Smalls scrapping with somebody like twice his size, it doesn't add up. And I'm not trying to take away from the character or the man, because he is a man. He's a real person. But like Billy, if you're not going to use Eric Smalls in a better capacity, like I feel like you're kind of mocking him. Just my opinion. I could be wrong. Billy convincing talent to wrestling, like, believe in me as I believe in you. Jeez. Double D, you got me, brother. Tonight. Did I see Wrestle Kingdom 19 and Wrestle Dynasty? I did not. I heard El Phantasmo had a great night, though. ELP. Ronaldo's better off teaming with Papa Smurf. Yeah, I mean, look. That's the thing. Spencer Slade is a hell of a talent. I want to see Spencer Slade in top profile matches. I want to see him wrestling Mims for the TV title, or wrestling, Carson Drake for the TV title, or wrestling Mims for the national title, or even being built up to be a potential challenger for Tom Latimer. But in his role right now, he's a joke, and he shouldn't be. He's a hell of a talent. Have you seen Smoky Mountain Wrestling? If Power just copied that, stories don't flow week to week. They take months for any updates. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the best way that the NWA should go about this is they should take a core group of wrestlers and determine what they're going to do with that core. Okay, these are the guys. These are my guys. And then push those guys in that story direction. And then whatever's left over from those core group, you start putting them into matches. Because everyone should want to be a champion. That's the whole point of wrestling. The prize is to be world's heavyweight champion. And everything is a stepping stone to that next level. Like, you could be TV champion and you could be very content as being TV champion. But the goal is to one day be world's heavyweight champion. And if you go with that as the motivation for 99% of the talent, it makes sense. It's very easy to get excited about wrestling. It's very easy to tell stories when you have that singular goal in mind. If you are a tag team wrestler, it's no different. The tag team titles are the goal. That's what you want. It's very basic. It's G versus E. We don't need varying shades of gray. We need a good guy and a bad guy, and that's it. A heel and a baby face. And the reason why they're fighting is because they all want to be world champion. Simple. Even though I don't like Maxine Taylor, they're going to be on TJPW. Yeah. Max is frequently in TJPW. Richard Holiday just won gold in Awesome Wrestling. I mean, look, Richard Holiday is another guy. I think he's very talented. I think he's he's not under any kind of NWA deal, so I don't expect to see him on Power anytime soon, but I think it'd be smart to do it. Troy says Billy can be the money, but he should find some talent to book for him. Yeah, so like if Billy was a smart man, he'd say, look, I like wrestling. I like being in charge of wrestling, and I want to tell stories. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to bring in some people around me who know how to tell wrestling stories, and I'm going to bounce my ideas off of them, and they're going to edit our ideas together. They're not going to be my ideas. They're going to be our ideas. And collectively, we're going to come up with these wrestling-centric ideas. Because Eric Smalls and Rolando feuding with each other that brings in tag team partners that are real, it doesn't make sense. It's not entertaining. Jeremy, what's up, brother? Keep Rolando Freeman away from the wrestling ring. I wish we could. Yes, guys, don't forget to like and share, comment, subscribe, share. This is the gospel of pro wrestling. Share. No, I'm just kidding. That's silly. We're not going to talk like that. Look, it's very simple. The NWA is a decent product. I spent a lot of time talking about it because, well, I wish it was better than what it is. I wish the NWA was better. Billy Corgan's not taking my phone calls. We don't talk about it, but I think it wouldn't take much to make the NWA from a mid program to a good program. They've got the talent. They've got the production. They just need some better storyline. And we're not getting that, and I don't think we're going to get that. So instead of beating a dead horse further into the ground, let's talk about this week's Power. First of all, I don't know if Steve G's in the chat, but I know Steve G is a huge fan of wrestling in Palmdale, and there's going to be a big event happening on January the 25th they're going to bring their women's champion, La Gutta Bella, and she'll defend the title against Natalia Markova. So for Steve G, I know he is out that way. I think that'd be a good event for him to take out. So I was just posting that for an audience of one. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to talk more about the. We're going to talk about Shockwave on Thursday with Jaden and DKM. We'll talk about some of our show predictions. Of course, they finally announced some of the matches, and I'm not going to spend any time talking about it, but I just want to share, like, Tom Latimer versus Aaron Stevens. Why the question mark? You know? Oh, wait a minute. Is that why? Is it because of the question mark? Yeah, Aaron Stevens gets a shot at a world title. Second time it's happened in a couple of years, but at least it's a different matchup. It's a different. It's not EC3. It's not Silas Mason. And at one point, Aaron Stevens was a really good pro wrestler. He's taken a backseat to becoming a manager. So we'll talk more about that on Thursday with Jaden and DKM. Of course, we'll be back here live on Thursday, youtube.com/The Alliance Blog, also on Twitch, also on Meta on Facebook. But let's talk a little bit about tonight's episode of Power, because we have a match between Boz and Mike Mondo. And I'm excited to see Mike Mondo in an NWA ring. Mike Mondo is a hell of a talent. You guys might remember him as part of the Spirit Squad in the WWE. He was always far more talented than he ever got credit for. And Boz has been kind of used as enhancement talent for the NWA, which hopefully means that they're going to be building Mike Mondo up for something more than just a one-off appearance. I know he's scheduled to be at in Forney, Texas as well, so that's positive. Also, the other thing that the NWA is highlighting is this celebration. I love it. The celebration of Ella Envy getting her flowers. I mean, you have to give the woman credit. She's a 4-time tag team champion. There's been no tag team wrestler celebrated more in the NWA, man or woman, than Ella Envy. Having won the tag titles 4 times with 4 different partners is quite the feat. Something that has not been even close to being replicated in the NWA. And for that, she's going to get her flowers. I think that's going to lead to a match. And usually celebrations don't go well in pro wrestling almost ever. So we'll see how that plays out. Also, tonight we have a World Tag Team title match with Knox and Murdoch's taking on the Spectaculars. What a weird ride, right? So, like, the Spectaculars were built with Rush Freeman in mind. Remember, Rush Freeman, Johnny Yuma, and Jeremiah Plunkett were the ill-begotten. You guys remember the ill-begotten? They got rid of Yuma, they got rid of Yuma for Jeremiah Plunkett. It was Alex Taylor, Rush Freeman, and Johnny Yuma. Then it became Alex Taylor, Rush Freeman, Jeremiah Plunkett. Then they got rid of ill-begotten altogether, and Rush Freeman was teaming with Dak Draper. I think it was Dak Draper. I could be wrong. Now I don't remember. And it was terrible. And they put Rush Freeman or Rolando Freeman, and then they got rid of Rolando, and then they brought in Spencer Slade, they got rid of Rush, and who knows. But they're getting a shot at the tag titles because why not? I mean, as a tag team, who did the Spectaculars beat? I'll say it louder for anyone in the back. Who did the Spectaculars beat to get a shot at the titles? This is a part of the dumb booking, Billy. This is part of the let's devalue our titles by just letting any Tom, Dick, and Harry challenge for them. This is the kind of stuff that irritates the hell out of me because this is an opportunity to showcase. Look at the next tag team match right there. The Immortals versus the Colognes. The Colognes have at least one tag team victory in the NWA. The Immortals, I get it. You don't really want to put that money match on a TV taping. But again, what are we doing here? Does it, if anyone can make it make sense, I'd appreciate it. And then also you got EC3 versus Joseph Von Schmidt. So that should be a decent match. And I'm excited for all of it, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not excited to see Rolando Freeman in a match. Honestly, that is why I keep watching. I see so much potential in the NWA, and I think Aldis is a selfish asshole who buried the company on the way. Yeah, Tim, I couldn't agree more with you on that. Nick Aldis's first run as World's Heavyweight Champion was spectacular. He had probably a Hall of Fame run as World's Heavyweight Champion. And when it's all said and done, if the NWA does ever reinstate the Hall of Fame, absolutely Nick Aldis belongs in it. But man, on that second run during COVID, I get it. He was trying to protect his family, didn't want to get out there. But you'd watch somebody like, at the time, Thunder Rosa was the women's champion who was defending the title everywhere she could. You had Trevor Murdoch win the national title and then defend it during COVID. And then you sit there and you look at Nick Aldis not doing anything and let that belt stay stagnant for, almost an entire year, right? And then when he finally did defend it, he got the acclaim and the accolades for being 1,000 days plus as champion. But, really, we recognized him for sitting at home for, a good 200 days, not doing anything. I don't know. Just never sat well with me. Give me an M. Give me an A. Give me a K. Give me an E. Oh, you said I, and I said A. I ruined it. Ella Envy is the GOAT. Yeah. Yeah, and I think Ella Envy, when it's all said and done, I'm not for anyone poaching talent, but I feel like Ella Envy would be a star in WoW. I feel like she'd be a much bigger deal in WoW than she is in the NWA. Cake is in the face for sure this segment. Yeah, probably. Except last night where Rock and Cody were celebrating together. Yeah, well, look, that wasn't cool either. I thought that was dumb too. Cody should not have been getting any kind of acclaim from The Rock. But either they just squash that storyline and that's done, or just bad planning. I don't know. Plunkett is the man carrying the Mid-American belt. Nothing mid about that title when Jeremiah Plunkett's holding it. Brady Pierce. That was Brady Pierce. Yeah, it never made sense. Brady Pierce being a part of Spectacular. Look, if that was a tag team you wanted to use, that was Rush and Brady was okay. I mean, they weren't great, but they were okay. Good for enhancement work. But that's a problem. Billy doesn't book enhancement. Billy books 50-50. He gives guys wins that don't deserve them. He gives guys opportunities that don't necessarily deserve them. If you were to grab 5 guys and say, these are the 5 guys, 4 or 5 guys, these are my dudes. These are the guys we're going to build the company around, and only focused on that and let the breadcrumbs fall to everyone else, you would see much better storytelling. There is no reason for Magic Jake Dumas to ever get a win over Jack Stain. Rest in peace. There was never a reason for him, Magic Jake Dumas, to get a win over Tim Storm. These are why? What's the point? Getting a disqualification victory over Tim Storm does not make you a star. Have him wrestle a bunch of nobodies. Have him build guys up. I'm an Aldis guy. I know. Light me on fire, but he was the reason why I watched Fire. I'm not going to light anyone on fire, man. I went to China to see Nick Aldis defend the 10 pounds of gold. I'm not saying he didn't deserve a lot of the flowers that he got. I'm saying that 1,000 days as champion just isn't real. It didn't exist. It didn't happen. Double D, I would love to have that opportunity to tell that story. I just don't have a lot of time. And I thought about finding TEW and downloading it and booking the NWA, how I would book it. I've also thought about just rebooking episodes of Power and how I would have done it differently. But at the end of the day, it's just it's not my company, and it doesn't matter what I say, it's still going to be what it is. And I don't know how entertaining it would be to talk about booking decisions. Aldous was fantastic, but he buried Billy's vision for the company. I even liked Power during 2023. It really wasn't that bad at all. The clowns were silly, but presented as real threats. That was the perfect mix for me. Now it's way too silly to make up for other areas. Yeah, no, the whole idea. Look, I'm okay with some comedy segments. Like, my wrestling doesn't have to be 100% serious. The world title picture should always be serious. You can't change my mind on that. But having, again, if there's not a little people division, why do we have little people wrestling? If you want to use them as a manager that sometimes get involved, sure, okay, I get it. But, like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I did go to China. I went to China back in 2018. I believe it was like in April. I literally sat next to Heather Monroe on the flight out. Got to hang out with the talent, got to hang out with Watts, got to hang out with Reno Scum, David Lagana, David Marquez. For some reason, I didn't see a lot of Barbie Hayden. I didn't see a lot of Nick Aldis. I didn't see a lot of Colt Cabana. Colt was there, but he was doing other things. And there was one day where all the talent kind of rode around the city of Shaolin. Not Shaolin. Shaolin. Wenzhou. Sorry, Wenzhou. And we went around the city and we went to like different media spots and took pictures. And it was like a press tour, but without any real talking, just photographs. And it was fun. Yeah, Overmetal, isn't that the name of this emulator, the wrestling emulator? Isn't it TEW or is it CWE, the wrestling emulator? That would make more sense. But yeah, so tonight's Power, again, we're going to see some cool stuff. But I got to be honest with you, I'm more excited about what's going to happen next, you know? Hey, yeah, I want to say thanks for everyone for hanging out with me today and sharing the content. Of course, this is a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information. And, I am going to turn the page a little bit, and I do want to talk a little bit about Championship Wrestling. My friends over at the United Wrestling Network will be presenting a big card coming February the 25th. It will be a television taping event. They will be crowning a new women's champion. And that's something that they haven't had ever. And the thing about the United Wrestling Network is they've had a ton of good women come through their halls. I mean, Viva Van kind of broke into the business there. Heather Monroe, obviously. Ruby Reyes, Viperous, Zoe Stark. A lot of talented women have come directly from the United Wrestling Network. And so now they're going to crown a women's champion. Interestingly enough, Big Mama is on this card. She's on the poster. She's the NWA television champion. I haven't seen her featured on any poster for the NWA. Also on the card, we're going to have QT Marshall from Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling and the AEW. Brandon Cutler, AEW. Obviously, Scorpio Sky from AEW. The captain, Sean Dean. Charlie Bravo, WWE ID talents, and Ice Williams, and Jordan Oasis, Alexa Gracia, and then of course Slice Boogie, Danny Limelight. Danny Limelight's your United Wrestling Network World Champion, and the last time we saw them, they were not the best of friends like they used to be. You got Zicky Dice. United Wrestling Network, I believe he's the television champion. All that is coming on February 25th with television set to resume back in March. I don't know if Zicky Dice is booking. He might be in a part of the creative. I know Peter Avalon does some of the booking, but I don't know who actually does what. So, Tim, I'll be honest, I haven't watched a second of Joe Kazana promotions in the last few months. And I feel bad about it because I really do enjoy what Joe Kazana does. But just since Thanksgiving, my whole year has been on fast forward, and I haven't had any time to really indulge in any of the additional NWA properties. Like I did watch the Exodus Pro pay-per-view, signature live event, whatever you want to call it, whatever it was on YouTube. I did check that out. It was mostly good. But again, outside of watching Raw last night for the first 45 minutes, I really haven't watched a lot of wrestling outside of the NWA or the Lucha Libre events that I've attended over the last few months. And honestly, the last month I haven't even been to a show, so I'm really excited to get back into it and see some more live wrestling. January the 11th, right in my backyard in Hemet, California, we have Ron McDonald running, and I don't think I'm going to run. I don't think I'm going to go to that show. If Danny's there, LOL. He didn't come to the show I was at months ago, and he was booked, scheduled. Yeah, I mean, so full disclosure, Danny Limelight has been battling injuries, and he still has made some appearances. But I know, like, he was also filming movies, and I don't know what happened, why he wasn't in New York for that show. That was kind of a bummer. I kind of wish he would have been there because Danny's great, and he would have definitely given you guys a good show to be a part of. But, now as we're kind of wrapping up the show, we're looking towards the new year. Obviously, we're looking towards what's next for the NWA, what's next for United Wrestling Network. Of course, having my ear low to the ground and reading tea leaves, it looks like the tapings on the 25th, they'll be releasing those matches in March. And they're supposed to be back at the Irvine Improv on a monthly basis. And eventually, those shows will transition to just live events, and they'll be doing a studio show if things work out the way it's supposed to. As far as the rest of the NWA is concerned, like, we know that they're going to Forney, Texas this Saturday. Then they have some TV tapings in Tampa, which Tampa has kind of become their home, I guess, for their television tapings, and signature live events will be on the road. And I'm interested to see which way this is going to go. Of course, there's still the events from Dothan. I don't know if that's what we're seeing this week on Power, if it's from Looks at Kill. It could be, and I kind of hope it is. But yeah, it's going to be a fun year, guys. I mean, one way or the other, the NWA is still going to be out there. They're still going to be putting on events. All of you guys have been trying to convince me that Carson Drake is the guy, and now he'll finally have an opportunity to showcase that. Mims is a guy that I think is the guy. He's going to be wrestling Mike Mondo in Forney, Texas, and hopefully this is a good test for him. Steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. We'll see what metal Mims really has when he steps in the ring with Mike Mondo. And hopefully it's the Mike Mondo that can go. Hopefully it's the Mike Mondo that is known for being a prolific wrestler. So it's really exciting to see what's going to happen there. Then also, you look at the roster. What is EC3 and his Exodus Pro Control Your Narrative Thugs? What is that all about? We're going to see Tim Storm take on PB Smooth in Forney, Texas. Baron Von Storm, excuse me. And it's, thinking about our late friend Jack Stain and the role that he had with the Baron Von Storm gimmick. How are they going to treat this now? How are they going to treat Baron Von Storm now? Obviously, there is no replacement for Jack Stain. He was one of a kind, a beautiful human being, and somebody that I'm going to miss dearly. I already do miss him. But in terms of storyline, how are they going to present Baron Von Storm? I mean, Jax was the guy that controlled him. Jax was the guy that could control the on-off switch. So if Jax is not there, it's a delicate situation on how to handle that moving forward. Will Baron Von Storm fall by the wayside? Will he become a member of Idolmania Sports Management? I mean, if the idea is to replace Jax, obviously you can't replace that man. But if you're going to put somebody in a role similar to what Jax was for Baron Von Storm, first of all, it's got to be handled with class and dignity. And I just don't know what they're going to do. Hey, Tim, thanks for hanging out with us. I really appreciate you hanging out with us for this. Then Sean Vega says, just put Storm on commentary. That's fine. He's already booked for a match, and I don't think he wants to stop wrestling, so that you're kind of in this parable of what do you do with Tim Storm? Baron Von Storm was a gimmick where he was being controlled by another wrestler. So how do you tastefully move forward now that the other wrestler is no longer with us. And, you know, it can't be comical. It can't be, you know, it should be, I don't know what they're going to do. They should pull the Jax matches and do a special on him. Well, what do you mean that do you mean like his matches in the NWA? They should have done that after he passed away. Like, that's what they should have done almost immediately. But, you know, Jax Dane was a very special human being. And, you know, yes, the NWA has the t-shirt that you can purchase that the proceeds go to his family. And yes, he was a very integral part of that roster. I'm not going to accuse the NWA of this, but I really hope that they don't turn this into a Josephus situation and make it something that it's not. You know, Josephus wasn't in good standing with the NWA when he passed away. And I felt like they milked Josephus's passing and then very distastefully brought back a second question mark and a third question mark and all that other stuff. I don't want them to do that to Jax Dane. I don't want them to sully his legacy by parodying it or anything else like that. Over Metal, he wasn't at Looks That Kill. He was in the hospital fighting for his life. He wasn't there. So it's kind of a downer. While we were all celebrating, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas, he was in the hospital. So he wasn't at Looks That Kill. I don't think he has any matches that you haven't already seen. You know, what would be a real classy thing to do is to go find, you know, you probably can't get the matches New Japan Pro Wrestling, but you could probably, you know, call up Chris Ronquillo and get some of the matches that were filmed in NWA Houston, NWA Lone Star. You could probably call up the wrestling promotion Branded Outlaw Wrestling that Jax used to be a part of and get some of his matches from there. You could probably even call, you know, Tony Givens and get some of the NWA matches, maybe even world title matches that Jax Dane had there. I mean, that's what I would do. If you're going to pay homage to him, I mean, put some money in the pocket of the promoters that, you know, promoted the world's heavyweight champion in the pre-Lightning One era and give the fans an opportunity to see the Jax Dane that carried the NWA for a considerable amount of time, 400 plus days, over a year as world's heavyweight champion. And the rise to prominence that he had, like, he won the North American title. He won the national title and briefly unified them. Now, I know we don't have a North American title in Billy Corgan's NWA, but it'd be the equivalent of holding the national and TV title at the same time. And it was a short run. He got injured afterwards, but I mean, you're talking about a guy who won the tag titles in Japan, or defended the tag titles in Japan. I guess he won them in the United States, but defended them in Japan. He was on New Japan Pro Wrestling programming. You know, you can go to World One and see matches of Jax Dane. You know, that's something. To me, that's pretty impressive. And when Rob Conway left the National Wrestling Alliance after he lost the title, you know, Jax was the one that beat Hiroshi Tenzan to become NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, and he defended that title in Las Vegas. He defended it in Texas. He defended it in Tennessee and all over the U.S. You know, he was the NWA. When Rob Conway was gone, when New Japan Pro Wrestling left the NWA again, it was Jax Dane who was carrying the load. I don't think Jax Dane ever got the flowers he deserved. He never got them. Not from Billy Corgan, not from the Lightning One era. He won the title. He beat Crimson for the belt. It was kind of a screwy match, but that was the adulation that he got. He was made number one contender, and his match with EC3 was very lackluster. There wasn't a big emphasis on it. It should have been a huge deal. It should have been a big, big deal. It was promoted as just another match. I bet Billy wishes he could get that one back. I bet Billy wishes he could do that one differently, because I wish he would have. Oh, what a somber way to end the show. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys talking NWA. Of course, we go, not we, but the NWA goes live on X in about 10 minutes. So we're going to end the show a little bit early today. I want to thank everyone who rejoined us as we had our first pre-party of 2025. Of course, if you guys missed it, the other Alliance guys came back on Sunday. They had a great episode of Wrestle Talk. It's available here on youtube.com/The Alliance Blog. And of course, we have more content coming, more shorts, more matches. Well, maybe not more matches, more talk, more pre-parties, more of the Alliance guys, more of the other Alliance guys. It's going to be a fun year in 2025. We're going to have a good time. Thank you so much for joining us each and every Tuesday, Thursday, and now Sunday. Of course, if you enjoy the show, which I hope you do, I really hope you do, you could support it by, commenting, subscribing. If you want to financially support it, you can get a cool hat like this or a cool t-shirt like this. The merch link is in our bio. You can go to our media, our Streamlabs media merchandise shop. I can't even talk anymore. And we have cool hats, t-shirts, coffee mugs, you name it, we got it. Also, we partnered with Dubby as a creator for Dubby. If you need energy, Dubby's a great alternative. In fact, I put Dubby, have the Beach and Peach right in here. What I like to do is use my soda stream to carbonate it because I like the bubbles when I drink it, and that's a fun kick for me. And then also we partner with Trophy Smack. So if you want to financially support this podcast, get a belt, buy some Dubby, buy a t-shirt. But if you just enjoy being a part of it, hey, we appreciate just having you here. Like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment afterwards. It does help with the algorithm. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday as we continue our discussion about Shockwave, Power, the NWA, and more. And until then, we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for checking out the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA Power every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are the Alliance.